All right, ready to dive in today. We're tackling Renaissance occult philosophy, specifically the ideas of Henry Cornelius Agrippa and his 3 books of occult philosophy.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild ride, I think.
It will be.
So in this deep dive, we're going to be really getting to the bottom of Agrippa's view of natural magic
Okay.
and what that really means, because it's a lot more than just, waving a wand or something like that.
Right. Yeah, no, it's much deeper than that.
Yeah.
So we're really talking about this system that he presents of a universe that is totally interconnected, like a massive web,
Right.
linking everything from like the divine all the way down to the smallest grain of sand.
And that interconnectedness that's really key to understanding his ideas of natural magic, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he really believed that by understanding the hidden connections between things,
Like,
that we could actually tap into this network of unseen forces and influences
I see.
and really influence the world around us.
So it's almost like a hidden code embedded within nature itself?
Exactly. Yeah, you could call it that. And Agrippa kind of gives us a map for deciphering this code.
Okay.
He starts with this hierarchy with God as the ultimate source, and then from there it moves down through these celestial spheres, the planets and stars,
Okay.
which have their own influences on the world below.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets to these 4 elements: fire, earth, air, and water.
Right.
But for him, these weren't just physical substances, but really fundamental forces that permeate everything.
Wow.
So it's a very different way of looking at it.
Yeah, I'm already seeing how intricate this is.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got all these layers of influence,
Yeah.
each one kind of building on the next.
Yeah.
But how did he believe that we could actually tap into this system, practically speaking? How would we do that?
Well, he called it natural magic.
Okay.
It was all about understanding what he called the sympathies,
Oh, okay.
the inherent relationships between things.
Yeah.
He believed that certain plants were linked to specific planets,
Right.
and that this would influence their properties and uses.
Oh, okay. I see. So by understanding that link, you could harness it.
Exactly.
In a way.
Yes.
Interesting.
So you could imagine like a world where your understanding of celestial movements could actually help you create more effective remedies.
Wow.
That's the kind of power that he believed natural magic could offer.
It's really interesting to think of it that way because, we've talked a little bit about alchemy on this show in the past.
Yeah.
And, there's a lot of people who try to, debunk it as, not real or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, this is a different way of thinking about it. It
Right.
is where it's not necessarily about, turning lead into gold, but it's about understanding the properties of things
Absolutely.
and how they're connected.
It's about working with nature
Yeah.
and using its own inherent power.
Okay, so at the foundation of this are these 4 elements that we talked about.
Yeah.
Fire, earth, air, water.
Right.
But he didn't see them just as physical things, right?
No, not at all. He believed they were imbued with these unique qualities.
Okay.
And these qualities influence everything in the universe, from the heavens all the way down to us.
Okay.
Like take fire, for example. He describes fire as being active life-giving,
Okay.
even suggesting that there are different types of fire
Oh, wow.
existing in their purest form in the heavens,
Right.
while other types are more readily available to us here
Interesting.
on Earth.
So he's almost creating like an elemental personality profile
Exactly.
for each one.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's through understanding these personalities that we can then begin to grasp their influence and how they might be used.
And how they interact with each other as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
And he gives some really vivid examples of this too.
Oh, yeah.
Like he writes about a sheep pool
Okay.
that could heal any disease, showing the incredible power of water.
Wow.
He even mentions a river in Syria
Okay.
that supposedly flowed for the entire Sabbath day, but remained completely still for the remaining 6.
Wait, a river that takes a break.
Right.
That's amazing.
I know, it's incredible.
I've never heard of that before.
It's a story documented by Josephus.
Wow. A river that observes the Sabbath.
Exactly. And this is all to illustrate the power of water.
That's amazing. Okay, so we've got these powerful elements weaving through everything.
Yes.
But then there's this other layer to it, right?
Yeah.
Where those celestial bodies come into play.
Right, because it's not just about the elements themselves.
Yeah.
But also how they're influenced by these celestial bodies.
Right.
And this is where Agrippa's system gets really captivating.
Okay.
Because he believed that each planet and star had a direct connection
Right.
to specific plants, animals, and even parts of the human body.
Oh, wow.
So it wasn't just about astrology, as we might think of it today.
Right.
It was about understanding how these celestial influences shape the very essence of earthly things.
So it's like a cosmic blueprint that influences everything.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Okay, I need an example.
Okay,
I need an example.
let's take the sun.
Okay.
He points to the marigold flower,
Okay.
which always turns towards the sun.
Right.
And for him, this wasn't just a quirk of nature.
Right.
This was a direct manifestation of the sun's influence.
Oh, wow.
Or consider the heart of a lion,
Okay.
a symbol of courage and strength, directly mirroring the sun's own power.
Right. Okay, yeah, I see that connection. The sun, the marigold, the lion's heart, all bursting with, like, vitality and strength.
Exactly.
That makes sense. What about the moon, though?
The moon.
It feels like a totally different vibe.
Oh, it is completely different. The moon, as you might imagine, is connected to things that ebb and flow,
Oh, right.
that are in a constant state of change.
Right,
He
yeah.
talked about the tides, of course.
Right.
But he also links the moon to the fluctuating nature of human emotions.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so we're seeing how this cosmic web ties everything together.
Yeah.
We've got the elements as these fundamental forces.
Right.
And then the celestial bodies adding another layer of influence on top of that.
Exactly.
But Agrippa takes this even further, right?
Oh, he does.
He starts talking about these occult virtues,
Yes.
and that's where things start to feel truly magical.
This is where his theories get truly fascinating.
Yeah.
Because it's not just about these elemental qualities anymore.
Yeah.
He introduces this idea that objects can possess what he calls occult virtues,
Okay.
hidden powers derived from their unique forms
Right.
and the specific celestial influences that they've absorbed.
Right. So it's almost like they've been imbued
Exactly.
with this power.
Yes, over time.
Because of their relationship to these other things.
Precisely.
Okay.
And this points to a world where even the most unassuming objects could possess these extraordinary abilities.
Okay, I'll admit this is a little mind-bending.
It is.
I need a concrete example here.
Okay.
How did Agrippa believe these occult virtues actually worked?
Well, imagine a fish,
Okay.
the Eschians, that was said to be able to stop a ship in its tracks
What?
just by touching it.
A fish stopping a ship?
Right.
Yeah.
Or the ostrich, a creature believed capable of digesting iron.
I have heard that one.
Yes.
That they can eat metal.
Right.
Yeah.
So these weren't just fantastical tales for Agrippa.
Right.
These were examples of these hidden powers, these occult virtues at work.
Okay, yeah, now that you mention it, I have heard that one about that fish. A tiny little fish that can stop a massive ship.
Isn't that amazing?
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
So how did people tap into these occult virtues? How did they use them?
According to Agrippa, it was all about understanding that connection,
Okay.
that subtle connection between the celestial and earthly realms. And he gives specific instructions for how to harness these powers.
Is he really?
Yes.
Wow.
Through careful observation,
Okay.
experimentation, and working in harmony with celestial timing.
So it's not about like controlling the universe. It's about understanding its rhythms and working within them.
Exactly. And this understanding, he believed, could be used to create powerful objects,
Like what?
like amulets, talismans.
Now we're getting to the good stuff.
Yes.
Tell me more about these objects and how they were believed to work.
Well, these objects, like amulets and talismans, they weren't just like trinkets or something.
Right.
Agrippa believed that they could be imbued with specific powers
Okay.
based on the materials, used the timing of their creation, even the symbols that were etched onto them.
It almost sounds like a recipe.
Okay.
Like baking a cake, but instead of flour and sugar, it's cosmic energy.
That's a great way to think about it.
Right. You have
Yeah.
to get all the right ingredients and combine them in just the right way at just the right time.
Exactly. He placed a lot of emphasis on aligning these objects
Okay.
with specific planets and celestial events.
I see.
For example, crafting a protective talisman.
Right.
When Mars, the planet associated with war and defense, was dominant in the sky.
It makes you look at those old amulets and talismans in a whole new light. Not just pretty trinkets, but objects that were infused with like a deeper meaning and purpose.
Exactly.
But this wasn't just about harnessing celestial energy through objects. Didn't Agrippa also believe in the power of words and imagination?
Absolutely. And this is where his thinking takes an even more intriguing turn.
Okay.
Because he argued that words themselves
Right.
held an inherent power,
Okay.
especially those believed to have a direct link to the divine.
Okay.
So he saw them as tools capable of shaping reality, much like the physical objects that we were just describing.
So it's like the spoken word, especially certain words, had a kind of resonance with the fabric of the universe.
Exactly. And he uses the example of Psyche's prayer to Ceres,
Okay.
emphasizing how the specific language the imagery, even the rhythm,
Right.
all contributed to the prayer's potency.
Wow.
So for Agrippa, it's about understanding this subtle yet very powerful connection
Right.
between language and the cosmos.
That's incredible. And this idea that the way we speak the words we choose could have a tangible impact on the world around us. It's a powerful concept.
It is.
But where does imagination fit into all of this?
Well, Agrippa believed that a strong imagination combined with a clear intention could act as a bridge between the mental and physical realms.
Oh, okay.
For him, imagination wasn't just about daydreaming. It was a tool for directing these cosmic energies,
Right.
shaping reality according to our will.
So it's like we have all these ingredients, the understanding of the elements, the celestial influences, the power of words, and then we use our imagination to kind of blend them all together
Yes,
and direct them towards a specific purpose.
precisely.
Wow.
He believed that by focusing our thoughts and directing our will,
Right.
we could tap into this unseen web of energy and influence the world in really profound ways.
It's almost like he's outlining a sort of mental alchemy.
That's a great way to put it. He saw the human mind as this incredibly powerful instrument,
Yeah.
capable of harnessing the very forces that govern the universe.
Okay, so we've gone from the celestial spheres down to the power of words and the potential of human imagination.
We have.
It's a lot to wrap your head around,
It is.
but it all circles back to this idea that we are all interconnected,
Yeah,
that there's this invisible web linking everything in the universe.
exactly. And for Agrippa, natural magic wasn't about defying nature,
Right.
but about understanding and working with these inherent connections.
I see.
It was about recognizing the power that lies dormant within ourselves
Right.
and the world around us waiting to be awakened.
It's a fascinating concept, even if some of it feels a little out there for our modern sensibilities.
Yeah.
But what strikes me is how Agrippa's ideas challenge us to think differently about the world,
Absolutely.
to look for connections that we might otherwise miss.
I agree. And while we might not be crafting magical amulets
Right.
or trying to stop ships with fish,
Right.
Agrippa's work reminds us that there's still a sense of wonder to be found
Definitely.
in the natural world.
I agree.
This hidden tapestry of connections waiting to be explored.
And maybe, just maybe, by understanding these connections, by tapping into that sense of wonder, we can rediscover a sense of magic in our own lives.
I think that's a great place to leave it for today.
Yeah, definitely a lot to think about. It's
Mhm.
amazing to think about how Agrippa saw the world, you know? Back then it was a totally different time, and yet his ideas still resonate in a way.
They do, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
It's like even though we might not approach his ideas with the exact same worldview as someone living in the 16th century, there's something about them that still feels relevant.
Totally. Like that idea of everything being interconnected, this invisible web linking us all. I don't know, it's a concept that I think still speaks to people today, even if we don't necessarily frame it in terms of magic.
It's that search for connection, I
Mhm.
think. And Agrippa, he gives us a new way to see those connections,
Mhm.
those subtle ways that things might be intertwined that we might not have considered before.
Yeah, he really makes you want to look deeper, doesn't he?
He does. He reminds us that there's so much more to the world than what we see on the surface.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good lesson for anyone, regardless of whether you believe in natural magic or not.
Definitely. It's about cultivating that sense of curiosity, that wonder about the world around us.
It makes you wonder, if in our pursuit of understanding the world through science, have we lost sight of some of that magic that Agrippa was talking about?
It's possible that some of that enchantment has been lost along the way.
Yeah.
But I think by revisiting these older ways of seeing, like we've done today, by exploring these forgotten connections, maybe we can rediscover some of that wonder.
I like that, bringing a little magic back into our lives.
Exactly. Because it's
Yeah.
all around us if we just know where to look.
Well said. I think that's a perfect note to end on. This has been such a fascinating deep dive into the world of Henry Cornelius Agrippa and his 3 books of occult philosophy.
It really has. And I think there's so much more we could uncover here.
Oh, definitely. We've only just scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, we'll leave it there and let our listeners ponder those hidden connections for themselves.
Sounds good.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll catch you next time for another deep dive.